You went to bed at a reasonable time. You didn't stay out late. You didn't pull an all-nighter. You actually slept. 7 hours. Maybe even 8. And yet, when the alarm goes off, it feels like you're being forced back into a body that never really shut down. Your eyes open, but your brain doesn't. Your body feels heavy. Your thoughts feel slow. There's already a quiet tension in your chest, and you haven't even checked your phone yet. Somehow, you're exhausted before the day has even started. And the worst part is what you tell yourself. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe I just need more discipline. Maybe I need better sleep habits. Maybe I need more coffee. But what if the real reason you wake up exhausted has nothing to do with how long you slept? What if your body is technically resting, but your nervous system never turns off? Most people misunderstand this completely. They think sleep automatically equals recovery. But sleep is a biological process. Recovery is a nervous system state. You can be unconscious and still not recover. You can lie in bed for 8 hours and wake up feeling like you've been running all night. Because the real issue isn't time in bed. It's whether your system ever felt safe enough to power down. Your nervous system has 2 primary modes. One is activation, often called fight or flight. This is when your body prepares for action, pressure, or danger. The other is restoration, sometimes called rest and digest. This is when your body repairs, recalibrates, and restores energy. In a healthy cycle, you move between these states naturally. Stress rises, then falls. Effort increases, then recovery follows. But modern life has quietly broken that rhythm. The stress you experience today is not short and sharp. It's constant and low grade. Unread emails, notifications, deadlines, financial pressure, social comparison, unfinished tasks, background uncertainty about the future. None of these are physical threats, but your brain doesn't care. It interprets unresolved pressure as potential danger. Your nervous system cannot clearly distinguish between a predator chasing you and an inbox that never empties. Both signal that something is unresolved. And unresolved signals keep your system slightly braced, not in full panic, not in crisis, just subtly on. And that subtle activation is enough to block deep restoration. So you go to bed at night physically tired, but neurologically alert. You scroll to distract yourself because stillness feels uncomfortable. When your system has been activated all day, silence can feel exposing. So you consume more content, more stimulation, more light, more emotional input. You tell yourself it's relaxing, but scrolling isn't calming your nervous system. It's feeding it small hits of alertness. Blue light delays melatonin. New information keeps your brain slightly vigilant. Emotional content triggers subtle reactions. Even if you fall asleep wired. Then the cycle repeats. Daytime stress leads to nighttime stimulation. Nighttime stimulation leads to shallow recovery. Shallow recovery leads to exhausted mornings. Exhausted mornings increase stress. And you begin living in a loop that feels normal, but isn't. If you wake up exhausted after 8 hours, you might also notice other signs. You feel tired but wired at night. Your mind races when you lie down. You sometimes wake up before your alarm with tension in your body. You rely heavily on caffeine just to feel baseline functional. You crash mid-afternoon. You feel brain fog that doesn't fully lift. You're not in breakdown. You're just never fully restored. This isn't laziness. It's chronic low-grade activation. Your body has adapted to running in a slightly elevated stress state. Over time, this becomes your default. And when elevated becomes normal, true rest starts to feel unfamiliar. The hidden cost of this pattern is bigger than just fatigue. Chronic nervous system activation reduces your ability to focus deeply. It lowers emotional resilience. It flattens motivation. It reduces creativity. It even dulls joy. Because when your system prioritizes scanning for threat, it deprioritizes exploration and pleasure. You become efficient, but not energized. Functional, but not fully alive. Many people interpret this as losing drive. They say, "I don't feel motivated like I used to. Nothing excites me the same way." But often the problem isn't a lack of ambition, it's a lack of restoration. Drive requires surplus energy, and surplus energy cannot exist in a system that feels constantly braced. So how do you fix this? Not by sleeping longer, not by drinking more coffee, and not by shaming yourself into better habits. You fix it by teaching your nervous system how to downshift again. The first step is redefining what recovery actually is. Collapsing on the couch with your phone is not recovery. It's distraction layered on top of exhaustion. Real recovery requires reducing stimulation before bed. That means dimming lights at least an hour before sleep. Avoiding intense emotional content late at night. Not having heavy arguments or problem-solving conversations right before lying down. You are not just preparing for sleep. You are preparing your nervous system for safety. The second step is creating a consistent off-ramp at night. Your body needs a repeated signal that the day is over. This can be something simple but intentional. A warm shower. 5 minutes of slow breathing with long exhales. Light stretching. Writing down tomorrow's 3 most important tasks so your brain stops rehearsing them. The key is repetition. Patterns teach the brain what to expect. If every night ends in chaos and stimulation, your system never learns how to power down. The third step is protecting your first moments in the morning. Most people wake up and immediately flood their brain with input. Notifications, news, messages, social media. That instant exposure activates your stress response before your body is even stabilized. Instead, give yourself 10 to 15 minutes of low input. Light exposure, water, slow movement, silence. This small buffer prevents immediate reactivation and sets a calmer baseline for the day. The fourth step is interrupting stress during the day instead of waiting for night to fix it. If your entire day is continuous tension, sleep alone won't repair it. Twice a day, pause for 2 minutes. Slow your breathing. Lengthen your exhale. Relax your jaw and shoulders. This signals safety to your system. Safety is the gateway to deep sleep later. You cannot run your nervous system at maximum intensity all day and expect it to switch off instantly at night. The fifth step is reducing invisible psychological pressure. Many people wake up exhausted, not only because of tasks, but because they are constantly evaluating themselves, measuring productivity, comparing progress, judging performance. This internal scoring system keeps your brain in assessment mode. Assessment mode feels like threat. You don't have to remove ambition, but you do have to reduce constant self-measurement. There is a difference between pursuing growth and living under continuous evaluation. If you apply these changes consistently, something subtle but powerful happens. Mornings start to feel neutral instead of heavy. You don't reach for your phone out of panic. Brain fog begins to lift. Emotional reactivity decreases. Motivation returns gradually, not as hype, but as baseline capacity. You don't feel superhuman. You just feel stable. And stability is what energy actually feels like. Here's the hard truth. You cannot out-caffeine nervous system dysregulation. You cannot out-motivate chronic stress. You cannot biohack your way out of structural overload while keeping the same patterns that created it. If your life constantly signals urgency, your body will stay braced. And braced bodies do not wake up refreshed. If you wake up exhausted after 8 hours of sleep, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your system has adapted to a world that never truly powers down. But adaptation works both ways. Just as your body learned constant activation, it can relearn regulation. When you reduce stimulation at night, protect your mornings, interrupt stress during the day, and lower invisible pressure, you are teaching your system something powerful. You are teaching it that not everything is urgent. Not everything is danger. Not everything requires bracing. And when your nervous system finally believes that, sleep becomes real recovery again. You don't just wake up less tired. You wake up clearer, lighter, less tense, more capable of choosing your focus instead of reacting to pressure. Exhaustion is not your identity. It's a pattern. And patterns can be changed. If this description felt uncomfortably accurate, that's not random. It means you've been living in a loop that feels normal, but isn't natural. And once you see the loop clearly, you can step out of it. Not through force, but through regulation. Not through shame, but through structure. Because energy is not something you chase. It's something your body releases when it finally feels safe enough to rest.